If you're a Christian husband who says yes to everything and resents half of it, this video is for you. I spent years avoiding conflict, so I know what passive leadership costs. I thought always saying yes made me a good person, a good leader. And it turns out, if you're not honest about where you are when you say it, you're not serving anyone. And when I got married, I brought that pattern with me. And I wasn't serving my wife. I was hiding from her. And it didn't take long for that to cost me. You see, I was the guy who showed up to everything with a smile on my face, but nothing left in the tank. And I told myself that that was sacrifice, that it was love. And it turns out showing up empty and pretending to be fine is just being dishonest. The kind that doesn't look like lying, but erodes trust the same way. And today I'm going to challenge how most men think about boundaries, because setting a boundary is not always about saying no. Sometimes it means saying yes, but with honesty. And I want to show you what this looked like in my marriage. So I'm going to break down 2 traps that most Christian men fall into. And I want to give you a little framework, strength under control, that changed how I lead at home. So here's the idea. A boundary is not about volume. It's about strength under control. And that starts with leading yourself first, knowing what's true about you before you try to communicate it to anyone else. Your wife doesn't need a husband who always agrees with you. She needs one that she can trust. And she can't trust a man she doesn't know. And if you keep hiding behind yes, she will feel the distance even if she can't name it. And your kids will learn that manhood means performing, because they learn by watching, not what they're told. Most men think a boundary is a no, and sometimes it is. But a boundary is clarity. It tells people closest to you what's true right now. And sometimes that sounds like, look, I need to sit this one out. Sometimes it's like, I'm going to be there, but I want you to know that I'm running a little low today. Both are boundaries. Both require honesty. And both beat the other option, saying yes with your mouth while checking out with your heart. That silent yes is a performance. Your wife can feel a difference even if you think that she can't. And that's what I want to dig into today. Let me tell you where this showed up for me. For about 20 years of my adult life, I lived out of state, away from family. I saw my parents, my brother, and my grandmother really only on some birthdays and holidays. And looking back, especially now that I've lost my grandmother, I wish I'd made more time. I loved them, but I didn't prioritize it. And Autumn is the complete opposite. She grew up surrounded by family, lived with her sister most of her life, even as she grew up and got older. Because when I met her, she was living in the basement of her grandparents' house, on the same 5 acres as her parents' home, her childhood home. Family's not important to her. It's the fabric of her life. And then my parents moved to town right before our son was born, which, look, it's a blessing. We love having them here. He's with one set of grandparents every day of the week. And he's growing up connected to both sides of his family, which I didn't have. And I don't take that for granted. So here's what happened. I went from barely seeing my family to seeing some family every day of the week. Autumn would love to invite people over, or we would visit her parents or mine. And most of the time, part of me didn't want to. I loved them. I wasn't being antisocial. I was just adjusting to something new. I needed my breathing room. Autumn did not. She had been doing this her whole life. And most of the time, I went anyway because I love my wife and because I know how much it means to her. Supporting your wife means doing things that you would not choose on your own. That's marriage. But here's where I got it wrong. I was choosing to show up, the right call, but giving her nothing real to work with. I never said, hey, I'm going to be there, but I want you to know that I'm running on empty today. I never said, I love doing this with you, but I also need a quiet weekend pretty soon. I showed up. I smiled, but drained. And something else sat in the back of my mind. Autumn's ex-husband was known for not showing up to family things. Comments were made. So on top of serving my wife, I was carrying the weight of someone else's failure. So when I told Autumn how I was feeling, she didn't push back. She got it. She appreciated it. I was giving her something real after months of performance. And that conversation, it taught me something. The issue was never showing up. It was showing up without strength under control, without the honesty to match the action. That dishonesty created the distance. The family time didn't. And that's what leading yourself first looks like. Being honest about where you are before you try to lead anyone else. Sometimes the boundary is saying no. Sometimes it's saying yes and being real about what that yes costs. Either way, both require honesty. And for a man who leads his home, honesty is your first job. I'm not the only one here. Most Christian men I've talked to have some version of this. Maybe it's not family time. Maybe it's finances, how the weekends get scheduled, something at church, something with the kids. The topic doesn't matter. The pattern's the same. They say yes, they show up, and they never tell anyone what it costs. And this is dangerous for Christian men. We've been taught that love is sacrifice, because it is. There's a difference between sacrifice and silent compliance. Sacrifice says, I'm choosing to give something up for the good of my family. That's strength, clear-eyed, honest, disciplined, sustainable, because the man owns it and knows what it costs. Silent compliance says, I will go along with it and deal with it on my own. That's hiding and not sustainable, because nobody sees what you're carrying, including you. One builds your marriage, the other starves it. So why do we keep choosing the second one? We think the only way out of silence is aggression. We stay quiet. We don't want to be the angry husband. We don't want to blow up or lose control. So we fall into two traps: rage or retreat, dictator or doormat, bouncing between the two, wondering why nothing feels right. Neither is leadership. One is destruction. The other is abandonment. And my family deserved better than what I was giving them. And if you're honest with yourself, yours probably does too. But there is a third way, but it demands more of you and not less. A boundary is a declaration. It tells the people in your life who you are and where you stand. And it doesn't always mean no. Sometimes the most important boundary you can set is an honest yes. And to do this, you need to understand something that most Christian men were never taught: how God designed strength to actually work. Most men I talk to live in two extremes. The first guy leads with force. I've seen this up close. And honestly, I felt the pull toward it. You get tired of being quiet, so you overcorrect. The boundary comes out as an ultimatum. And your wife doesn't feel led, she feels controlled. And your kids aren't learning respect, they're learning fear. Strength without tenderness is intimidation. The second guy, which was me, I led with silence. I avoided conflict. I said yes to everything and told myself that I was keeping the peace. I wasn't keeping peace. I was abandoning my post. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Power, strength. Love, that's tenderness. Self-discipline is the ability to hold both without letting either run unchecked. God didn't design you to pick one. He designed you for both. The man who only has one is incomplete. Scripture calls Jesus two things that should not go together. In Revelation 5:5, he's the Lion of Judah. And in John 1:29, he's the Lamb of God. Strength and tenderness. Jesus cleared the temple with authority. He wept at the tomb of his friend. He rebuked Peter to his face, and he washed his feet. He set firm boundaries with the Pharisees. He held children in his arms. He never chose between strength and gentleness because he held both. Not weakness, mastery. That's how we lead at home. Not picking a side, holding the tension. That's the framework. Strength under control. Honesty is the directness, naming what's real, setting a boundary when one needs to be set, saying, look, this is where I am, and this is what I need. That's backbone. Responsibility. Discipline is how you deliver it. Your wife feels the weight of your love even when you say something hard. Honest without destruction. Direct without coldness. When you lead with honesty and no discipline, people get hurt. And when you lead with discipline and no honesty, people never know you. When you hold both, people trust you. And trust is the foundation of every family that lasts. There's a Greek word for this, and it's called praus. Most Bibles translate it to gentle or meek. Most men check out right there. They think that meek means weak, and it's not even close. Not even close. Praus described a warhorse trained for battle, full power, full capability, could charge a line or trample an enemy, but trained to respond to its rider. Precision, not impulse. Same strength going to war or carrying a child. The power never changed. The control did. And that's what gentle means in the Bible. Not soft, not passive, dangerous and disciplined. And in Matthew 11:29, Jesus says, I am gentle and humble in heart. The most powerful man who ever lived looked at the people around him and said, I am praus. He had more power than any man alive and chose how to use it. Proverbs 16:32 says, better a patient person than a warrior. Greater is one who controls their temper than one who takes a city. The man who controls his strength is more dangerous than the man who can't. More trustworthy too. This matters beyond your marriage. A man who is not honest about his capacity can't lead with purpose. He's too busy managing expectations to move his family forward. Boundaries are about staying clear-headed enough to lead where it matters. And that's the standard. Not loud, not silent, controlled, honest, and present. A man his wife can trust and his kids can follow. Praus, strength under control. That's how a man sets a boundary, not with rage, not with silence, with honesty and with discipline. So what does this look like at home? When you say, not right now, honesty names what's real. Discipline controls how you deliver it. So instead of going quiet or making excuses, I love your family and I need a quiet night tonight. Can we plan something with him next weekend? I'll be in a much better place. Or I need this Saturday to recharge a little bit. And if I push through it right now, I'm not going to be the version of me that anyone wants to be around. Let me get this morning and I'm all yours that afternoon. Or I need to skip this one. You and your sister go out tonight and I'll be there next time. You're being honest. You're being disciplined. That's strength under control. And you're telling her where you stand so she doesn't have to guess. When you're going to show up and you're running low, this is the one nobody talks about. You said yes, you're going. So now you think you have to grit your teeth and get through it. You can show up and still tell the truth where you are. Hey, I want to be there tonight. I want you to have the full picture. This week's kind of been heavy on me and I'm not 100%. I'm not saying that to get out of it. I just want you to have the full picture. I'm in, but if I seem a little quiet tonight, it has nothing to do with you or them. I've just been running hard and I need you to know that. You're still showing up, still in the fight, but now she knows what's real. And a wife who knows what's real can work with that. A wife who's guessing, that's where marriages erode. When something's been building and you need to name it, the first two are about a single moment. Sometimes it goes deeper than one night. It's a pattern. That's the hardest conversation. Look, I need to tell you something. Hear my heart. I love our families. I love that Jameson gets to grow up this close to his grandparents. And I need more margin that I have given myself. Can we talk about what that looks like for us? Honesty names the pattern. Discipline protects the relationship while you do it. You're leading the conversation. In your home, that's your responsibility. No one else will do it. And here's what happens. Your wife doesn't feel rejected. She feels informed. She knows where you are. Whether you show up or step back, she trusts it. You were honest. And your kids see it too. They see a man strong enough to tell the truth and disciplined enough to do it without blowing up the room. That changes generational patterns. Not a dad who's always fine, a dad who leads with integrity. So, a little 7-day challenge for you. Next time something comes up and your gut says, I don't want to do this, don't default to yes. Don't shut down. Here's what I started doing, and it's changed everything I do at home. The standard you set and how you communicate is the standard your household follows. So if you're going, say so, and be honest about where you are. If you got to sit it out, say that and give her a win. Lead with truth, honest and discipline, strength under control. Do it once this week, just once. Watch what it does to the trust in your home. So what happens when Christian men stop defaulting to one extreme and lead with both? Not dominating, not disappearing, leading, conviction and care. Your wife stops guessing, starts trusting, and your kids stop watching a man perform. They start watching a man lead, and your son is building his blueprint for manhood right now, and you are the primary source material. 20 years from now, he will not remember what you avoided. He'll remember what you walked toward. And the answer is not doing more. It's being more honest, period. And that's what we build here. Men who lead with strength under control, not louder, not softer, honest, disciplined, present. Men who love their families and own what it costs. Men who carry the weight because that's what men do, and disciplined enough to be honest about what they need to keep carrying it. Praus, strength under control. So here's what I want you to walk away with. Your family doesn't need a nice guy. They need a man who protects the integrity of his home. That starts with honesty. A man strong enough to tell the truth and steady enough to do it without destroying the room. A man whose word means something. When he says yes, he means it. When he says not right now, he means that too. That's a boundary, not anger, not silence. A man who knows where he stands, disciplined enough to say it without flinching. Lead yourself first. That's what strength under control looks like. A man who has mastered himself before he leads anyone else. Honest and disciplined. Both. That's the standard. Not someday, this week.